Yeah, we need rural broadband. I was in parts of the country that did not have broadband access, and that struck
Crazy,
me as, yeah, as crazy. You were just like, "What's going on here?" You
especially
know?
now. Especially now, because this is not going to be our last pandemic or risk of pandemic, right? There's going to be other viral monsters that come after us in some way, shape, or form, or other issues that occur. And you made the best point earlier, and this, you add the 5G to it. We don't have a digital way to communicate with each citizen, right? We have no way to put money into an account where we need it. We have no way to communicate, anything of any value between us. And in the rural environment, it's 10x worse, right? And so if we're going to create, we talk about going off into, how you sit around and go, okay, what's the craziest idea I can come up with to change things? And so one of the things builds off of your idea. We're having digital access to everybody, but having everybody have a digital bank account. Doesn't matter where.
Yes, I proposed like a digital citizenship portal, citizen.us, and we could just drop money into the account there, and then you just connect it to whatever account you want.
Absolutely, and I thought that was brilliant, right? Now let me add something to that. Whenever we go through these recessions / great recessions / hope it's not worse circumstances like we're in now, where the government bails out companies or invests in companies indirectly, we'll use what Warren Buffett did with Goldman Sachs, I think it was, right? Where he gave them $5 billion and got options and warrants on top of that. And when it was all said and done, ended up making 12 million. He grossed 17, made 12. What if that was the United States Treasury doing the same deal? What if we then took all that, right, and divided it by 330 million or whatever the population is on that day, and we deposited 1/330th millionth of each of that into everybody's account? Finally, for the first time ever, everybody will have appreciable assets. And for public or private companies, just like they tell you, if you can invest when you're young and have it,
appreciate compound interest, right? Most powerful force in the world.
Exactly. Right now, you get that same progression, right? Because the biggest inhibitor to closing the gap in income inequality is that the people at the bottom live paycheck to paycheck. Doesn't matter how much that paycheck is.
Oh, the bottom 50% of Americans own zero stock. And so trumpeting what's going on with the stock market's irrelevant to half our people.
Exactly. So we can change that. So anything the Treasury or the United States of America invests in that we're smart enough to negotiate a return of assets, particularly that can be digitized, like stock or whatever, warrants, options, etc. Let's just split it up, right, and give everybody their share. Now, with
the stakeholder society, it would be transformative, Mark, just because everyone would feel like they were actually participating. Like, as right now, so many Americans feel like there's all this stuff going on, and they're just like looking up, being like, what the heck is happening? Whereas if they have an account, they can see the value, they can see it appreciate. And one of the things that I'm fighting for is like our data that produces value. It's like, why are people not sharing in that? And that can get put into that same account.
Well, exactly right. You can deposit anything in there. You can protect it now. Security obviously is going to be important. But yeah, that's how, until you get people who are working paycheck to paycheck, till you get them appreciable assets. Maybe it's a house, that's a little bit tougher. But these assets, shares of stock, options, warrants, that effectively we all own anyways because it's our taxpayer money, that gives everybody a chance to have appreciable assets. And that's the way to close the income inequality gap. Crazy idea. It'll take 50 years before anybody considers it.
You kidding, man? We're going to get this thing done forget 50 years. We're going to get this thing done in 50 days. We're actually working on the citizenship portal and awesome. the data property project. So we'll have like the structure set up where all we need now is the government to put some money in the account and we'll be golden.
Let's go.
Well, talking to you, man, it's like, I wish that there were someone like you, and I know you're very loosely affiliated with advising the government on the response. But it is very frustrating to me and many other Americans where you see just like so much ineptitude and bureaucracy and like lack of urgency and lack of follow through and lack of accountability. I mean, like for us trying to get people money, like we just freaking Cash Apped, PayPal, and Venmoed people because like that's how people get money like now in 2020. And then you have millions of Americans like checking the IRS website trying to figure out where they're going to get their money. Like the whole thing.
Or look at New York State. Like most people have still not gotten their unemployment benefits, or they're waiting hours just to apply. You know, not just New York, across the country.
And you and I thought the same thing, Mark. It's like, why the fuck do I have to call a phone line to get my benefits? Like, like what is that about? You get these like stories of people being on hold for hours, and it was like, what is going on?
I know it's just ridiculous. But look, I mean, you were the only technically literate candidate. Period. End of story. You know, and here we are in 2020, and that's just ridiculous. You know, I mean, it's inconceivable, and unfortunately now, you know, the candidates we voted on during the primaries, we didn't pick based on their ability to deal with the pandemic, you know, and so we're caught in this never land as well. So it's going to be an interesting election, but hopefully everybody gets out there and votes.
Yeah, get out there and vote. It's the American thing to do.